Remember when an energy drink was a simple transaction? You grabbed a can, you got some caffeine and a sugar rush, and you knew exactly what you signed up for. Those days are gone. While you've been grabbing whatever's cold at the gas station, the energy drink aisle has turned into a marketing arms race. Influencers are hawking cans to 12-year-olds. Brands are slapping the word wellness on what is functionally a caffeine grenade. And some of these companies have spent more time in court than they've spent reformulating. Here's the thing, you're paying premium money for products that range from melted popsicle sugar bombs to drinks that got their maker dragged in front of federal regulators. So let's talk about the 6 energy drink brands you should skip entirely, and the 3 that are actually worth your money. Because life's too short to gamble $3 on a heart palpitation. Smash that subscribe button because we're about to save you from some seriously questionable cans. First on the skip list, and we're starting with a brand that's basically a melted popsicle wearing a leather jacket. Rockstar launched in 2001, positioning itself as the bigger, badder alternative to Red Bull, and the formula has aged like milk in a hot car. Crack open an original Rockstar and you get a 16-ounce can of liquid that's tart, syrupy, and so sweet it coats your teeth. The flavor reads less like a beverage and more like carbonated cough syrup someone spiked with caffeine. There's nothing crisp or clean here, only a thick, cloying wave of sugar. And get this, a single can carries 63 grams of sugar. That's more than 2 cans of Coke. And it blows past the American Heart Association's entire daily limit for added sugar in one sitting. The caffeine clocks in at 160 milligrams, which is fine, but the sugar is the headline, and it's a horror story. At around $2.50 a can, you're paying for 250 calories of pure regret. Reviewers consistently describe the original as too sweet to finish. Rockstar survives on convenience store placement and brand inertia, banking on you grabbing it without ever flipping the can over. Bottom line, this isn't an energy drink, it's a dessert that happens to keep you awake. Number 2 is the brand so everywhere that you've stopped questioning it. Monster hit shelves in 2002, and that giant 16-ounce can with the clawed M became the default fuel for gamers, mechanics, and anyone pulling a double shift. Familiarity, though, doesn't make it good for you. The taste is aggressively artificial, a fizzy tangle of sweet and sour that some people describe as carbonated bubblegum and others describe as battery acid with a sugar chaser. It's not subtle, and it's not trying to be. Here's where it gets tricky. One can delivers 54 grams of sugar and 210 calories, which already exceeds the recommended daily sugar allowance for most adults. But the real kicker is the sodium, 370 milligrams per can, around 16% of your daily intake, hiding in a drink you don't even register as salty. Layer on a vitamin megadose of 500% of your B12, and you're not drinking a beverage, you're drinking a poorly calibrated supplement. At roughly $3 a can, Monster sells on sheer momentum and shelf dominance. They're banking on you being too loyal or too tired to read the label. The most generous thing I can say is that the zero sugar version exists, and you should be drinking that one instead. Number 3 breaks the mold, and not in a good way. 5 Hour Energy launched in 2004 as a tiny 2-ounce shot. The pitch being you slam it and skip the giant can. It's a clever idea. The execution is where things get strange. The liquid itself is thick, warm tasting, and medicinal, like a cough remedy that gave up on being pleasant. There's a sharp chemical tartness, and within minutes many people feel the nascent flush, a hot prickly tingle across the skin that the company will tell you is harmless but nobody actually enjoys. What makes this particularly questionable is the value math. You're paying around $3 to $4 for 2 ounces of fluid, which is one of the worst price per volume deals in the entire category. The caffeine sits near 200 milligrams, but it's wrapped in a proprietary energy mix the company won't fully quantify, which means you're trusting them on the dose. Years ago, the brand drew federal scrutiny over a stack of adverse event reports. And while nothing was ever pinned directly on the product, it's not a confidence builder. 5 Hour survives on the fantasy of efficiency, the busy professional who wants energy without commitment. You're paying a premium for mystery and a skin tingle. Number 4 is a cautionary tale about chasing a trend. Reign showed up in 2019 as Monster's answer to the high caffeine fitness craze, a direct clone of the Bang formula aimed at gym goers who wanted 300 milligrams of caffeine and zero sugar. On paper, it sounds disciplined. In the can, it's a thin, watery, aggressively artificial drink sweetened with sucralose that leaves a lingering chemical aftertaste most people can't shake. The flavors promise things like mango and strawberry but land somewhere closer to a scented candle. Here's the thing, 300 milligrams of caffeine is 75% of the FDA's entire recommended daily ceiling for a healthy adult. Packed into one can you might knock back before noon. That's a lot of stimulant for a drink that tastes like flavor regret. And the market notice. Reign sales have been sliding year over year, the spin-offs are cratering, and even its own parent company seems to be quietly moving on. Reign exists because Monster wanted a piece of the fitness caffeine pie and built a Me Too product to grab it. The most telling part is that consumers voted with their wallets and walked away. High caffeine, low charm, fading fast. Number 5 is the one that should genuinely make you nervous, because it's a story about what happens when marketing outruns reality. Bang exploded in the 2010s on the back of a magic sounding ingredient called super creatine, sold as a brain and body breakthrough. The drink itself is a zero sugar, 300 milligram caffeine bomb with a tinny sucralose forward sweetness and flavors that taste vaguely like a melted freezer pop. It's drinkable in the way that a lot of chemistry is drinkable. The real kicker is the courtroom. A federal jury found that super creatine wasn't actually creatine and didn't do what Bang claimed, hammering the company with a verdict worth $293 million that later climbed past $300 million on appeal. Bang's parent company filed for bankruptcy, the founder was pushed out, and Monster scooped up the wreckage for $362 million. You were paying premium prices for a science fiction ingredient. Bang survived as long as it did on hype, flashy social media, and the promise that you were drinking something smarter than caffeine. What makes this particularly infuriating is that you weren't. A cautionary tale in a can, and the verdict is in literally. If this is already saving you from a bad can, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's next. Number 6 closes out the skip list with the loudest brand of the bunch. Prime Energy dropped in 2023, launched by YouTube megastars Logan Paul and KSI, and within months it was a schoolyard status symbol kids was trading like contraband. The drink is a fruity, sucralose sweetened fizz in flavors like tropical punch and blue raspberry, the kind of taste engineered to read as candy. Smooth enough, sweet enough, and that's the entire problem. Here's where it gets tricky. Each 12 ounce can pack 200 milligrams of caffeine, more than 2 cans of Red Bull and roughly 6 cans of Coke, in a product whose whole aesthetic is aimed at children. That mismatch got so loud that a sit-in U.S. senator publicly demanded the FDA investigate the brand's caffeine content and its kid-facing marketing, and some schools banned it outright. There was even a widely reported case of a child suffering a cardiac episode after drinking one. Prime exists because 2 influencers with a combined 50 million subscribers can manufacture demand out of thin air. They're banking on hype, doing the work that quality won't. The most damning part is that the energy version technically says 18 and up while the marketing pulls in everyone under it. A caffeine bomb in a juice box costume. Now for the good news. Number 3 on the worth it side is this brand that actually changed the conversation. Celsius started in 2005 as a niche fitness drink and clawed its way to roughly 10% of the entire US energy market, pulling in over $1.3 billion in revenue in a single year. The taste is where it earns the hype. Celsius is crisp, lightly carbonated, and genuinely refreshing, with fruit flavors that land closer to sparkling water than cough syrup. No sugar, no high fructose corn syrup, and a clean finish. Here's the thing, you get 200 milligrams of caffeine sourced partly from green tea, 0 grams of sugar, and only 10 calories, often for around $2 or less in a multi-pack. That's a real value proposition. Now, full honesty, Celsius paid a $7.8 million settlement over a no preservatives label claim, so it's not a saint. But on the metrics that matter to your body, sugar and calories, it's a legitimate upgrade. Celsius succeeded by selling function over flash to people who actually read labels. Not perfect, but it delivers on the promise. And if you're finding this ranking useful, hit the like button. It really helps the channel cut through the noise. Number 2 on the worth it side is the brand that quietly figured out who everyone else ignored. Alani Nu built its following by aiming squarely at women, a demographic the testosterone-soaked energy aisle spent decades treating as an afterthought, and it worked. This is, flatly, one of the best tasting drinks in the category. Flavors like Breezeberry and Witch's Brew are smooth, fruity, and dialed in, without the chemical bite that ruins so many zero sugar options. It tastes like someone in the lab actually cared. What makes this particularly smart is the formula. 200 milligrams of caffeine, 0 added sugar, around 10 to 15 calories, and a price that usually lands near $2 a can. The one caveat is the sodium, which runs higher than some competitors, so it isn't flawless. But for a drink that tastes this good with this little sugar, that's a trade most people will happily make. Alani Nu won by treating an overlooked audience like it mattered and backing it up with a product that delivers. They're not banking on hype. They're banking on you coming back because it's actually good. proof that clean and craveable aren't mutually exclusive. And number one, the brand that's been quietly right this whole time. Red Bull basically invented the modern energy drink in 1987, and almost 40 years later, it's still the gold standard because it does one thing the others can't seem to manage: it's consistent. Every can tastes the same. That slightly tart, sweet, sour, almost medicinal flavor that somehow works in a tidy 8.4 ounce can that respects your limits instead of daring you to chug 16 ounces of caffeine. Here's the real argument. Red Bull contains a modest 80 milligrams of caffeine, about the same as a cup of coffee, which means you get a clean lift without the jittery overdose the 300 milligram crowd inflicts on you. The one catch is the original's 27 grams of sugar, so do yourself a favor and grab the zero or the sugar-free, which keeps the same caffeine and ditches the sugar entirely. At around $3, you're paying for predictability, and predictability has value. Red Bull endures because it never overpromises. No fake miracle ingredient, no senator hearings, no bankruptcy. The most reassuring part is that you always know exactly what you're getting. The original still does it best, especially the zero sugar can. So here's what the energy drink aisle really comes down to. It's a battlefield between brands that sell you a feeling and brands that sell you a function. And the gap between those two has never been wider. On the skip side, you've got sugar bombs like Rockstar and Monster drowning you in 50 plus grams of sugar, mega caffeine clones like Reign and Bang gambling with your heart rate, a tiny shot charging premium money for mystery, and Prime building an empire on hype and kid-friendly packaging. On the worth it side, Celsius, Alani Nu, and Red Bull all share one trait. They tell you the truth and deliver on it. Here's the final piece of wisdom, and it's an easy one. Flip the can over before you buy it. The marketing on the front is written to sell you. The numbers on the back are written by law, and they don't lie. Sugar, sodium, and caffeine tell you everything you need to know in about 5 seconds. No influencer required. Your energy. Drink choices say a lot about whether you read the fine print or trust the hype. Choose the ones that earn it. Hit subscribe if this changed how you'll grab your next energy drink, and drop a comment telling us which ranking you think we got wrong.